This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
قال مبروك سليم وزير الدولة السوداني في وزارة النقل إن موقعا قريبا من مدينة بور سودان شمال شرق السودان.
Mabruk Salim, the state minister for highways, said that the area of Port Sudan in the northeast was hit by 2 air raids last February. He added that the attacks resulted in the deaths of 800 people who were Sudanese, Somali, Ethiopian, and Eritrean. The minister said that the 3 U.S.-made planes launched the attacks from the Red Sea, targeting a convoy that was believed to be carrying conventional weapons. Other sources added that more than 50 people received treatment at a hospital in the town of Kassala. El Sharouk, an Egyptian newspaper, stated that 17 cars that were carrying 39 people were destroyed. The newspaper considered the attack to be the first big operation in an attempt to stop the smuggling of weapons into Gaza in order to achieve the security agreement between the U.S. and Israel. Israel refused to comment on the news that was broadcasted on CBS, which stated that Israeli aircraft were involved in launching the attacks. The U.S. military in the area told the United Press that they had nothing to do with the air raids on Sudan.
الضحايا 800 شخص من القرن الأفريقي فيهم صوماليين وإريتريين وإثيوبيين.
There were 800 casualties, some of whom were Sudanese, Somalis, Ethiopians, and Eritreans. We were at a conference on March 21st in the town of Kassala, where we discussed this issue. Everyone knows what the issue is. It's an issue of smuggling people from Africa by way of the Mediterranean Sea, the Red Sea, and through the desert. As for the weapons, the only weapons that the traffickers had were small arms being carried by guards. We saw everything, and there were no heavy weapons, as they said.
From Khartoum, we will talk to Al Jazeera bureau chief Musallam Al-Kabashi. Musallam, the minister, talked about the issue. However, there are many questions about why Khartoum announced this so late.
Khartoum has still not announced this issue. There are many different sources talking about the issue. This really happened in January and February. There were 2 air raids. In terms of casualties, there are contradicting numbers. Some say 100 casualties, the minister says 800, and others say a little over 50. The question is, where did the air raids come from exactly? The minister said that it was the U.S. military from the Red Sea, yet the U.S. has denied this. The area is a desert area in the northeast of Port Sudan, and it is within a tactical range in terms of distance. The attacks may be from Israel, because it is within a tactical range, or from Egypt, or even from the U.S. Navy base in the Red Sea. The source of the air raids is still unknown. Sudan has not officially spoken out about this. Maybe there was some kind of dialogue between Sudan and Egypt regarding the smuggling of weapons, while the war on Gaza was going on. Some sources said that Egypt wanted to make sure that there are no smuggling activities in the area, and Sudan reassured Egypt of this. Several say the issue is a matter of human smuggling into Israel. It is said that there are hundreds of Eritreans in Israel now who were smuggled into Israel using many different ways. The issue is still unclear. However, it is clear that the air raids took place and that there were many casualties. I have a document in my hand that lists the names of 20 Eritreans, according to media sources, from the Eritrean opposition. Many casualties were admitted to the refugee hospitals east of Sudan and in Kassala, yet this was not officially stated. Obama's strategy in Afghanistan is escaping forward. This is the topic of our program today.
في إطار الاستراتيجيات الأمريكية الجديدة للخروج من المأزق.
The new American strategy is designed to get out of the Afghan quagmire. The Special American Envoy to Afghanistan and Pakistan, Richard Holbrooke, met with NATO leaders in Brussels. The meeting, which preceded the upcoming summit in The Hague, will take place at the end of this month and was held in order to present America's new strategy in Afghanistan.
الأمريكية الجديدة في أفغانستان. في هذا الإطار كشف مسؤول أمريكي أن الرئيس
An American official revealed that President Obama will announce on Friday the results of an evaluation which he ordered regarding U.S. policy in Afghanistan. The evaluation focuses on increasing the numbers of Afghan troops and improving the coordination between NATO and the Afghan government.
والحكومة الأفغانية. يشار إلى أن أوباما كان قد أعلن نهاية.
It is worth mentioning that Obama announced last week a strategy for getting out of the Afghan quagmire. This comes in the framework of the active diplomatic campaign that was launched by Obama.
كان قد أعلن عنها سابقا هولبروك بقوله.
Holbrooke made an announcement pertaining to this, saying that all Afghan neighbors must be involved. Meanwhile, the European Union expressed its willingness to help establish stability in Afghanistan without sending additional troops.
ولكن دون إرسال قوات إضافية إذ أعلن خفير سولانا.
Javier Solano said that the crisis in Afghanistan can't be solved by only using military means. It is worth mentioning that there are now 70,000 troops present in Afghanistan under NATO's command. Recently, Obama ordered an additional 17,000 troops to Afghanistan.
إضافيين في مقابل 82,000 شرطي أفغاني.
Washington demanded that the 82,000 Afghan police officers be increased so that the occupation forces can be relieved from internal security responsibilities.
عن هذه التطورات وآفاق المرحلة المقبلة معنا من بيروت أستاذ العلوم السياسية.
Joining us from Beirut is political science professor Dr. Kamal Habib, and from Kabul we are joined by political analyst Abdul Shakir Waqif Hakimi.
أهلا وسهلا بكما دكتور حبيب. أبدأ معك من الالتفافة.
Dr. Habib, I would like you to start by talking about the new American strategy in Afghanistan. What do you think about this matter?
بداية من يقرأ خطاب القسم لبراك أوباما يوم تسلمه السلطة يدرك.
Those who listened to Obama's inauguration speech realized how far the new American president will go to reverse all of the policies of his predecessor, George Bush.
به سلفه جورج بوش والتي
Bush's policy was based on spreading so-called constructive chaos in the world, and the result was chaotic for both America and the world.
إذن في خطاب القسم أعلن أوباما بوضوح وصراحة.
In his inauguration speech, Obama announced in a clear manner that he will establish diplomatic relations with Muslim countries based on common interests rather than having a reaction. George Bush's policy in Afghanistan was a reckless one that the neoconservatives dragged Bush into under the pretext of the war on terror. The American occupation of Afghanistan came in this context. Obama is asking the following question: what U.S. interests does the occupation of Afghanistan serve? Can Afghanistan secure American interests in the region? I believe that Obama's answer is no. Therefore, he has begun to encourage the Europeans not only to help make the withdrawal from Afghanistan easier, but also in order to give this withdrawal international legitimacy.
لمساعدته على تسهيل الانسحاب الأمريكي من أفغانستان ولكن لإيجاد غطاء دولي لهذا.
European and American troops will help fill the vacuum. This brings us to another dilemma. If the U.S. is not happy with the continued occupation of Afghanistan, then what European interests will be served by continuing this occupation?
إذا لم يكن هناك مصلحة للولايات المتحدة الأمريكية في استمرار احتلالها لأفغانستان، فأين تكمن المصلحة الأوروبية في ذلك؟
طيب سيد حكيمي، يعني أنتم في أفغانستان كيف تنظرون؟
Dr. Hakimi, as someone who lives in Afghanistan, how do you view this new American strategy for your country?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
الاستراتيجية الأمريكية الجديدة كما أعلن عنه
The new American strategy, which was announced several days ago, is very broad. Although we do not know all of the details yet, we do know that the new American strategy will be different from the previous one, so that the American troops can be eventually withdrawn from Afghanistan.
في استراتيجية الأمريكية ولكن
However, there are contradictory facts on the ground which cast doubt about the administration's intention to withdraw from there. Will the U.S.'s withdrawal be like the withdrawal from Iraq, in which U.S. troops were withdrawn while keeping in place a proxy regime in Baghdad? Or will the withdrawal necessitate an increase in the U.S.'s military presence there? We know that the American forces in Afghanistan will increase by 20,000 soldiers. So far, 3,000 soldiers arrived in Afghanistan a month ago, and they were deployed around the capital, Kabul.
أهلا بكم مجددا. أعلنت الرئاسة الإسرائيلية أن الرئيس الإسرائيلي شيمون بيريز هنأ الرئيس المصري.
The Israeli president congratulated the Egyptian president Hosni Mubarak on the 30th anniversary of the Camp David peace agreement. The office of the Israeli president released a statement saying that President Perez spoke on the phone with President Mubarak to congratulate the Egyptian and Israeli people.
لتوقيع اتفاق السلام.
لا ذكر في الذكرى.
No commemoration for the 30th anniversary of the Camp David peace agreement. The anniversary of the Israeli-Egyptian peace agreement, which was signed 30 years ago at Camp David, is quietly passing by both in Israel and Egypt. The spokesman for the Egyptian Foreign Ministry, Hussam Zaki, said that there will be no celebrations in Cairo. The spokeswoman for the Israeli embassy in Egypt, Shanai Kober, expressed disappointment because the Israeli embassy did not receive an invitation for any celebrations in Egypt. In contrast, many parties were held in Israel. Of course, peace with Israel is a reality, but its anniversary is not commemorated. This raises questions among political analysts. Some say it is a cold peace. While the elites hold dialogue and conduct business transactions, nothing is happening at the public level.
We do not want to deal with Israel in any way, regardless of how small or big the matter is. I wish the country's policy reflected this public sentiment.
3
years after it was signed, events have transformed the warm peace agreement between Israel and Egypt into a cold peace. From the Egyptian perspective, the Israeli war on Lebanon in 1982 changed things. In addition, the Israeli war on Gaza and the rise of the Israeli right to power were two factors that prevented the Egyptians from celebrating the agreement that called on Israel to withdraw from Sinai. However, not all political observers believe that the agreement was bad. One cannot ignore the economic factors. The two countries have economic agreements with $300 million in mutual trade.
The agreement was good. It gave us our rights and we got what we wanted. Some countries opposed the agreement and others supported it. But from our perspective, it benefited Egypt.
One can say that the Egyptian people are not ready yet to normalize relations with Israel, which is still taboo for ordinary Egyptians. Ramzi Al-Masri, Al-Arabiya.
Reported losses plagued the Israeli banking world today, with two of the nation's most prominent banks reporting negative numbers that far exceeded loss warnings. IBA's economics correspondent Elisha Rabin has the bad news.
Bank Hapoalim continued a trend of shocking investors today when it announced a much larger loss than it had warned last month. The news comes a day after CEO Zvi Ziv resigned unexpectedly with nearly 2 years left on his contract. First, fourth quarter losses totaled more than 360 million shekels. That's 110 million shekels more than the bank had warned it would lose in February. Hapoalim attributes the loss to an ever-growing pile of debts that it believes will never be repaid. Latest estimates by the bank put that sum at more than 1.5 billion shekels, 3 times the amount predicted in 2007. But those losses are not the reason insiders say Zvi left his position. Instead, differences over the direction Hapoalim should go in the future began to grate at relationships in the boardroom. Ziv had been with Hapoalim for 35 years and was responsible for write-downs on investments worth more than $1.5 billion. Bad news extended to the spreadsheets of the First International Bank. The bank posted fourth-quarter losses of more than 160 million shekels. That's twice the amount the bank had warned investors it would lose a week ago. Although details of the loss are scant, it's likely much of that number may come from write-downs of bad debt. The bank estimates nearly 240 million shekels in 2008 debts will not be repaid. For IPA News, I'm Elisha Rabin.
Political news, one more party has agreed to join the Netanyahu government. The Jewish Home Party signed a coalition agreement with the Likud last night. Party leader Daniel Hershkowitz is slated to become Minister of Science. He will also head a ministerial committee on the rehabilitation of settlers evacuated from Gaza. Following the agreement, the new coalition currently enjoys the backing of 69 Knesset members.
And while the coalition of Prime Minister-designate Benjamin Netanyahu appears to be nearly final, there's still a lot of jockeying going on for seats around the table, especially among Likud and Labor. Here to help us make sense of it all, Jerusalem Post political correspondent Gil Hoffman. Gil, welcome back.
Thank you.
Netanyahu had to give away a whole lot to put this coalition together. What's left for Likud?
Well, they've got about 6 portfolios that they're going to split in 3 different ways and appoint 18 ministers to fill those positions, is the way it's looking right now. I'm exaggerating, but it's gotten that bad. You've got many, many very qualified people inside the Likud who could be prime minister one day, people like Dan Meridor, Benny Begin, Moshe Ya'alon, former chief of staff of the army, Yuval Steinitz. All of them could very well end up being ministers without portfolio or some new portfolio made up just for them.
Who's likely to be left out of the cabinet?
Look, they're going to find room for all of them. They're just not going to do very much in the cabinet. Netanyahu wants to please all the people all the time, and he'll partially please all the people some of the time.
Of course, Silvan Shalom is probably the highest profile name. He wanted the foreign ministry, didn't get it. Is he going to be a Likud rebel, or is he going to go along and follow the party line?
It all depends on how Netanyahu handles the situation. I mean, he doesn't want to appoint him finance minister, which is understandable because that's a position that you need a loyalist in, but he should really try to make Shalom pacified in some way. Netanyahu seems to like irking Shalom, and that's not really smart. He really has gone a little bit too far with that and really should perhaps take Shalom's claim seriously as a former finance minister, foreign minister, science minister, deputy defense minister. He's someone with qualifications that should be taken advantage of.
The banks of the Jordan River are once again reliving a baptism similar to the one performed on Jesus Christ, vowing not to forget the wounds of Palestine. Our colleague Anwar Yassin reports from Amman.
In response to a request by the Baptist World Alliance and in efforts to strengthen coexistence and tolerance among the various religious sects of Jordanian society, a new baptism center was opened in Bethany beyond Jordan on the banks of the Jordan River. According to the Christian faith, the site is believed to be the place where Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist, and also where the Holy Spirit descended on Jesus in the form of a white dove. Thousands of Christians from various denominations across Jordan attended the opening ceremony of the new Baptist Center. In addition, several dignitaries from Arab and foreign countries, as well as several international activists and leaders, including the quartet's special envoy to the Middle East, Tony Blair, attended the ceremony. Blair took a tour of the most recent biblical archaeological discoveries in the area before arriving on foot at the new Baptist Center to join the opening ceremony.
I'm very happy to be here, in this holy place. The fact that the site is located on the bank of the River Jordan means a great deal to Christians around the world. It took courage and leadership to open a site like this in a Muslim country. This gives us hope for a world of religious diversity capable of cooperation.
Organizers of the event said that the new Baptist Center in Jordan was the product of nearly 1.5 years of diligent work. The site and center were also a tribute to the generosity of King Abdullah of Jordan and Prince Ghazi bin Mohammed, who directly sponsored the project. Prince Ghazi gave a welcoming speech in which he called for tolerance and for the love of God and neighbor. The speech is part of a letter that was signed by more than 130 Muslim scholars addressed to the Vatican and the world's leading churches. Also participating in the event were the President and Secretary General of the European Baptist Federation, Tony Peck, the President of the Baptist World Alliance, David Coffey, and the President of the Jordan Baptist Convention, Fawaz Imaish. The special Mideast envoy to the European Baptist Federation and the Secretary General of the Evangelical Schools in Lebanon, Nabil Kustaf, also attended. In addition, the celebration included prayers and devotional songs performed by the Jordan Baptist Choir led by Barbara Johnson. Despite the holiness and importance of the occasion, especially during the performance of the baptism rituals, the participants said that the celebration was not completely joyful, especially because the site overlooks the occupied Palestinian territories. Meanwhile, the Palestinians are hoping to see that the nightmare of the occupation disappears from their land, which is the birthplace of Jesus and the place where the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven. More than 2,000 years ago, Jesus was baptized in the holy water of the Jordan River. However, on the other bank of the Jordan River, Palestine has been baptized in blood for more than 60 years. Between water and blood, there's a story to tell about a nation that is waiting for someone to save it. From the Bethany beyond Jordan on the banks of the Jordan River, Mohammed Kalikish, Anwar Yassin, New TV.
The Moroccan Association, which helps children faced with difficult living situations, extended a helping hand to children who were living on the streets. Shams, a Moroccan circus school, picks homeless children from the streets and teaches them different skill sets, enabling them to perform in the circus. The objective is to channel their energy in a constructive way and give them an opportunity to live with dignity off the streets. Our reporter in Rabat, Jalal Makfi, visited this school and prepared the following report.
Hajar is 12 years old and is performing in one of the plays at the Shams Circus School, which has become a destination for many children that were living on the streets. Some of the children are victims of homelessness, drug addiction, and child labor, which has deprived them of their childhood and of a mother. Hajar ends her performance with a prayer to God. This is part of Hajar's education. She has spent part of her life on the streets.
The talents of the children at the association are developed and directed so that they can blossom.
The education here is based on the training that these children get in the circus. Hajar and her childhood friend Lamia, who lost touch with one another while living on the streets, are once again united while training in the circus. They are performing challenging maneuvers, hoping that one day they will have a glamorous future.
The circus is very good to us. We have toys, and we train every day with the other girls.
Most of the children here learn important principles such as group support and team spirit. They have also developed their self-confidence, which enables them to use their energies in a constructive way. Life on the streets is a tough experience. The same thing can be said about life in the circus. There is a big difference, however. The future is uncertain for children on the streets, but once they come here, their future becomes much clearer. Jalal Makfi, Dubai Television, Rabat.
Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/Mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic video podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs, programs which connect you to the world.